Reading this morning, as we continue our study of Naomi, is from Ruth chapter 3, page 186 in the Bible in the pew, 186, if you'd like to follow along. Ruth and Naomi have come back from Moab and distressing times. Ruth has gone to do some gleaning to help provide for them and meets with Boaz. And Naomi sees a way to help. So Naomi, her mother-in-law, in verse 1 of chapter 3, Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, "My daughter, shall I not seek security for you, that it may be well with you? Now Boaz, whose young women you were with, is he not our relative? In fact, he is winnowing barley tonight at the threshing floor. Therefore wash yourself and anoint yourself and put on your best garment and go down to the threshing floor, but do not make yourself known to him until he has finished eating and drinking." Guys always do better on a full stomach. "Then it shall be when he lies down that you shall notice the place where he lies, and you shall go in and uncover his feet and lie down, and he will tell you what you should do." And Ruth said to her, "All that you say to me I will do." So she went down to the threshing floor and did according to all that her mother-in-law had instructed her. And after Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was cheerful, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of grain, and she came softly, uncovered his feet, and lay down. Now it happened at midnight that the man was startled and turned himself, and there a woman was lying at his feet. And he said, "Who are you?" So she answered, "I am Ruth, your maidservant. Take your maidservant under your wing, for you are a close relative." And he said, "Blessed are you of the Lord, my daughter, for you have shown more kindness at the end than at the beginning, in that you did not go after young men, whether poor or rich. Now, my daughter, do not fear. I will do for you all that you request. For all the people of my town know that you are a virtuous woman. Now it is true that I am a close relative. However, there is a relative closer than I. Stay this night, and in the morning it shall be that if he will perform the duty of a close relative for you, then well, good. Let him do it. But if he does not perform the duty for you, then I will perform the duty for you, as the Lord lives. Lie down until morning." So she laid her at his feet until morning, and she rose before one could recognize another. Then he said, "Do not let it be known that the woman came to the threshing floor." And he said, "Bring the shawl that is on you and hold it." And she held it, and he measured 6 ephahs of barley, about half a bushel, and laid it on her. And then she went into the city. When she came to her mother-in-law, she said, "Is that you, my daughter?" And she told her all that the man had done for her. And she said, "These 6 ephahs of barley she gave me, for he said to me, 'Do not go empty-handed to your mother-in-law.'" Then she said, "Sit still, my daughter, until you know how the matter will turn out. For the man will not rest until he has concluded the matter this day." Let's pray. Father, I am so thankful that you understand life better than we do, and you are willing to help us. So we ask you to help us this morning as we come to your word, as we consider the things we find there, that you might teach us things that we need for our lives. In Jesus' name, amen. As Americans, we have a unique approach to plans for life. Because of the freedoms we have been taught and considered that you make plans, you set goals, you work hard, and you can achieve anything. There's only one problem with that. And that problem is a little thing called life. And things don't always work out the best. They don't always work out according to plan. And in the book of Ruth, we find an interesting guideline to plans that don't work out the way we think they should. So I want to look at 3 plans, the results, and what God did. Naomi's plan. Naomi's plan was to marry a nice Jewish boy, have a family, and live happily ever after. And then there was Ruth's plan. Her plan wound up being about the same. Because they had gone to Moab and they lived in her town, her plan was to marry a nice Jewish boy and have a family and work hard and live happily ever after. And then there was Boaz, who was a nice Jewish boy. And his plan was to work hard, make a comfortable living, and live happily ever after. Now here's how those plans worked out. Not so well. Naomi's plan, she did marry that nice Jewish boy. And she did have a little family. And she did work hard. But then her husband died. And her 2 boys died. And when she went home, she said, "Don't call me Naomi anymore," which means pleasant, but call me Mara, which means bitter. My plan didn't work out the way I thought it would. And then there's Ruth. How did her plan work out? She married a nice Jewish boy. But when he died, she became a widow at a very young age. And now with no support and no happily ever after, she follows Naomi back to Israel. And she's following behind the harvesters, trying to get enough food for herself and for Naomi. And then there's Boaz. His plan had worked out pretty well. He was very well off. He had worked hard and made a good living. And now at the end of a very good barley harvest, he's enjoying a late night repast. That's my big word for the day, repast. Does anybody know what it means? I think it means supper tonight anyway. Okay. Sorry, you're not supposed to use words you don't know for sure what they are. And all happy, he lies down, resting on his pile of grain, and wakes up in the middle of the night to find a woman lying at his feet. And now his life changes completely. So here in the book of Ruth, we find 3 plans carefully laid out. Now, kaboom! They're gone. But the other thing we find in the book of Ruth is that God's plan overshadows all of these. And if we are willing, if they are willing, God's plan will take over and do good things. Naomi's plan didn't work out, but God's plan did. He has provided a help for her in the person of Ruth. He has provided provision for her in what Ruth has done. And God has done good things in her life. God's plan in her life was good. He has blessed her. He has loved her. He has cared for her. He has provided for her. He has made her so she's willing to change her name back from bitter to pleasant. And we're just getting started in the good plan that He has for her. And then there's Ruth. Her plan fell apart. And she goes back with Naomi into a situation she has no idea about, to find out about a God she really doesn't know yet. And she's beginning to see God's plan in her life. How God is taking care of her, how God is using her, how God is blessing her, how God is providing for her, how God is loving her. And then there's Boaz. His plan went kablooey in the middle of the night. You see, the Jewish